Oh, before you get on here, okay, so if you guys aren't familiar with visual issues, I'm just going to talk about with the vision, okay? Just because someone has 20/20 doesn't mean they have functional vision. So whether you're sitting down or standing up, I just want you to feel before we've done all of this, what it's like to look to the right and look to the left. Now, if you notice a difference between Betty and I, Betty is looking just with the head. Okay? When I do it, I rotate off my ankles. Okay? So when I'm using more of my whole system, I can go a 360, no problem. Most people start doing this, you know what I mean, or this, and especially if the kids are of anything with a special needs background, they do not have functional vision. Because if they have developmental milestone complications, that means their eye, foot, hand timing, that synchronization, however you want to describe it, is off. Does that make sense? So naturally, to roll my head up and put my hands down, I can do it in nice slow motion and bring my knee up. There's a synchronizing that happens. But to do the same thing, now I have a girl with her eye out, you know, so she has a lazy eye, it goes out. So if I'm pulling my eye out, I can do a whole bunch of little funky muscle things with my eye. So if my eye is out, first of all, do you see how I don't have binocular vision? My eyes are right function, left to function. But to sit there and now do this, do you see how my depth perception is off? Because I can't rely on my eyes. And just so that system will look more cautious. Because they have to protect them. They don't want to fall. They don't want to hurt themselves. So you'll see too, this very, instead of, you know, again, where I can swing on my, so now I have to decide which eye I'm going to look at. And if this is my more dominant eye, even though this is the eye that's out, then I have to really turn my head to find my left eye to function, to look at her, versus here. So does that make more sense? So I don't know if you guys can even do that, because I can pull my eyes out, I can, you know, another way of looking at it, it's easier probably is just cross your eyes. And cross your eyes and try and look left and right versus, you know. Now, with autism, CP, hypotonia, all of those things, what usually happens too is they'll find an eye position that they're safe in and they keep it there. So we had a boy this week that came in and he was more, you know, this is how he presented it first, you know, with his eyes. Again, with CP2, you might see where literally the head is resting on the eyes. You know, so the eyes have to be so fixed to hold that, right? Versus, again, that float. See how my head rotates and my eyes can stay like this, just like the water goblet, right? Or my eyes can stay fixed and I can move my head, my whole body if I want, around my water that's in my eyes. Or I can do all of the above. And that's why some people can do a roller coaster and be like, whee, and other people are going, ooh, and then their backs hurt and all of this because they went into CP and just wrecked everything. So same thing, if your child with CP and you go to pick him up and there's a startle, well, is he startling because you've just thrown his vision and his balance and his counterbalance, or is he startling because he doesn't want to be picked up? So that's where, as you get better with someone's movements, that you'll realize that all of a sudden the eyes, if the eyes just go into a startle, so all of you just who are sitting, put your feet down and feel just standing up, okay? And sit back down again. And now, before you go to stand up, startle your eyes and try and stand up. Stops the movement. It's harder for you, but if you're a child, they don't do hard. They don't overcompensate. They will stop the movement. We have mind over matter. That comes when we're around 16. You know, when they're 2, do you know what I mean? It's end the conversation. You have to look at where that person is in their development to work with them better.
When you say age of, is it the real age or what we say?
That's what I'm saying, it
Yeah.
depends where they are with their development. So I'm just using an example, if they're under 16, if you're asking them to do something that is a physical difficulty or that hurts them, they will not proceed with the movement. So this whole, when they're, whatever, with the walker and you're going, if you just get to the end of the hallway, I'm gonna give you an ice cream. I don't even know I'm standing on 2 feet, much less, you know what I mean? So your conversation to me, can you come in there a little bit different? I'm not saying never, don't use the walker, but can you come in and say, and work with their system, just like I'm
Yeah.
doing with the eyes and glasses, to incorporate that walker more into their system so they can maybe take a step. But if they don't even know how to hold on to the walker and their eyes startle, you want the feet to work too? And that's where I want you to start looking at the system as a system instead of just move your feet. If I'm startling my eyes and trying to grab a walker, I don't have feet. That's like the last of my worries.
Right.
Does that make more sense?
Yes.
Okay. What?
But I feel, is it when the child is learning to use a walker?
Right?
That is when this can happen, no? The child is not able to feel connected. The child who is very versatile with the walker, he feels it's an extension of his own body.
Then you're not having this conversation. But if they're not using the walker well, or if their eyes do go into startle, then they're not using it as well as they can. Any function that a person is doing anyway, they can do better. Or they can do it a different way. Or they might do a walker straight but not up the stairs or something like that where they can transfer their bodies off of it. So what I'm just trying to show you, it's not to pick on the walker, is to start looking at the whole system. But if they're not using the walker correctly, is it the walker? Is it the eyes? In first cases, I rule out, or any case too with special needs, I want a higher level of functional vision. And if they're too, even with the walker, you're gone. I'm not playing with that. That's the difference between Alzheimer's, autism. I'm so, involved, whether it's a STEM or a play, and you're going, Johnny. Well, if I don't even know how to do this, it's not happening. So eventually, you're gone. You're just out of sight, out of mind. Is he not looking at you because of the autism, or is he not looking at you because he wasn't capable of doing it, and that conversation continued from a physical condition to a psychological condition? I go after movement. Prove the movement, you're going to improve all of that. So,
People who don't have vision, what about them?
what? Same thing. You have to look at the system. If they haven't learned counterbalance or balance, I work with a girl who's blind, has mild CP. She was born at 27 weeks, and she'd just sit on my table. And her mom's like, you gotta get her to stop it. She's never run. She's never done a somersault. She doesn't know any kind of speed in her system. That's where her body was saying. So it wasn't a self-stim. She just would get excited and she couldn't do this. She didn't have any of those visual cues. They never appeared in her system. Kids that are blind don't scribble. They don't do things, so we can't say, oh, they're not scribbling, so they're not doing age-appropriate blah, blah. They don't know to scribble. They've never seen it. So not having functional vision, again, if you're a baby and you're blind, you're not looking at my hand, so I'm not developing balance and counterbalance, so you need to find ways. So on her fourth day, I was like, we're doing a somersault, and the mom's like, she can't do a somersault. And I'm like, why not? She's blind. I'm like, well, I don't open my eyes when I do a somersault. And then a week later, I'm like, she's going to karate, and she's like, she can't do karate, she's blind. And I'm like, so I won't hit her. But she still can learn to block. She can hear me, and one of the things my karate instructor did, he took chest x-ray film, and so everybody had to close their eyes and start hitting chest, so she had that, auditory. The more creative you get, they can have typical development in a non-typical way. And that's what I'm doing with touch. I don't put a baby on all fours and say, okay, crawl. I'm back at the beginning. How does the hand come to the table? How does it, oh, you can do that. You can get up, and present. That's how I'm looking at that whole system versus placing it on all fours and now expecting to go on. It's just another way of playing with it. But again, if they don't have functional vision, if I'm here and I don't know to look at you, how am I going to get an arch on my back? you know, this is a whole vision thing. This should have happened, and if it didn't, then you've got to find ways of doing it. And that's what I'm trying to show you just with the head work. So, yes. Let me wipe my hands. Sorry. Take you on your back, please. I'm going to take you down just a little bit. You're just a bit too at the edge of the table. There. You good? Now again, if I couldn't have done that dumb move of just straddling my chair, I'm not the type of person to put on a horse. You know, again, see if there can be successful here, then they can be successful on a moving object. Same thing with the ball. If I can't straddle, I can't put a kid on a ball and go, ooh, vestibular system. It's just, I work just differently. So again, we've all done this head work. If you're playing with someone new, I highly recommend it. It's okay if you cheat. But I'm just, again, gonna get to know her system, but see the nice sway in the chest now, see her pelvis, see how nice she walks. See, from here, if you were behind me, you can see it better. But see how the right foot, the left foot, now at this point I can say that. So push down to your right foot, push down again. See how I'm timing the head. Push with the left. Okay, the left is just not as clear for her. Again, it's minute stuff, but you know, this is how, again, one of the 15,000 ways you can play with the head in connection with the system. But what I'm going to do now is a vision. One of the things our kids don't do is airplane. And with that, is the upper quadrant vision. But again, is it the rotation of the head that can't do it? Or is it the eye function? So if they don't know how to rotate their head back and maintain balance, then they're not going to develop upper quadrant vision. So you'll see a kid that's more lackluster, looking down, doing these things, because again, they just can't roll their head back and balance at the same time. So if their eyes startle, you know, same thing, you're all sitting there. Just look upper quadrant and startle the eyes first. You know, look first up, and now startle the eyes and try and look up. And when you have the eye startle, then that's when you see the momentum of the head, and people go, why does he keep tossing his head back? Well, he's trying to look at you, and that's the way he's figured out how to do it, now he's just lost his balance. So I'm just gonna come underneath the neck. Most people have a nice space by now. You see an infant where the neck presents to the table. By age 6, usually will be in glasses. So I'm just underneath here. So at first, and again, see I adjusted myself, I noticed my elbow was off the table. All I'm gonna do is just see how her tonus is. So I'm not trying to do the Herman Munster thing. I guess it's an American thing, you guys don't know what Herman Munster is. But I'm not looking to pull off of the top of the temple. I said temple, that's totally not where I'm at, the forehead, but I'm just looking to see how this just nice. Now again, I'm moving my hands. If you can't move them, if anything, just all I'm doing is sort of a lift towards the hand. So I'm looking for the whole rotation of the head very subtly. And with that, now I'm going to change direction. So now I'm going to take her right eye and bring it over here, over to the left. Again, I don't need her to look. What are you doing?
No, I'm just checking.
Oh. She can have her eyes closed with all this. She can be sleeping. I can go back to the center now. Notice too, see I'm here and over to her left where I want the movement to go. I went back to center. And now she's got nothing going to the left. Do you feel the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel the difference? See the right and to the left. Coming here for her left eye, coming up to upper quadrant is just different. Now, did she have whiplash, had a car accident? Did she just never develop it? I don't know. So what I'm doing here is just, again, see how I'm lightly touching underneath the neck? So again, my touch is going somewhere. I'm always talking from one hand to the other.
She's shivering.
Oh,
We're all shivering. I don't know what's up with these guys. They've told them 3 times. They're just not. Because I could see her touching.
She had to lean more, you know. Put her on her feet. She's
Really.
Mine's underneath.
There's
It's
one
so
more.
difficult.
isn't like a box here? You can just go to it and adjust it yourselves, or no? That's what we do in the States.
Switch it off and he's still not.
Wasn't there a panel like there by the front door? Just open it and see what.
You're all shaking.
Well,
I could see.
yeah. See how just that little bit of movement. So now that I have it, I'm gonna go back under the head and just say, look at me. Or if she doesn't wanna look at me, I can just say, look up. I'm not even gonna worry about down, just bringing her back to neutral. Just look up. And look up. Ah. Look up.
Yeah.
Can you see the eye startle just from, and again, I'm not here to analyze her. You okay? You're gonna make it?
And
You
it's
could-
time
you
for
could-
lunch too.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
It's 1:30.
Did not-
1:30.
Oh, is it already?
Yeah.
Do you wanna, we should just stop then and then
I
just.
think when we stop with the
Just after
demonstration
the
and then we
demo,
can
we
come
can
back
go
and
Okay,
relax.
okay, okay.
Come back
and then.
Yeah.
So now, look down and look up. And look down. See the nice sway going on in the spine? And now look to the left foot and look up at me. And down to the left foot. Notice I'm shifting my weight up at me. And down to your right foot. And then up at me. There you go. That's right foot. And knee. Down to your feet. And then up at me. And relax. Now, again, you gotta let someone's systems, and just notice, see the movement? Now the walking, just see the difference and just how the chest is moving.
The scarf.
You can make
Yeah.
the scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see the.
No, in fact, you can see
through
it.
the
Yeah, you
scarf.
can see
Now I'm gonna
cloth
push
movement.
through the head. This is a real delicate move. I'm gonna teach you this more this afternoon, but I'm just going through and pushing,
Yeah.
just like we were doing with the baby. Now, if you wanna make this more complex, look up at me and look down at your feet. See, now this would be something then I would have to, I can't just do as a demo. You see how
Yeah.
she's just so here. Now look down at your feet and look up at me.
Yeah.
And see, that's that eye floating in the head thing. Look down at the feet and look up at me. See how she can't just float the eyes?
Yeah.
But you know what? This is driving. This is, all of it playing on a playground. This is, for whatever reason, her system's saying, I need help. Or I could do this better, however you want to look at it. But it's not something to falter. She's has her doctorate's degree or close to it. So, I mean, she's not, but just play with, just see the eyes like that goblet, just floating. I'm going really fast now. See how I move, I counter rotate. Now clench the jaw. See how the head face won't rotate. Let that go. I want you to contract the toes down. Now she knows what she's doing. Now I can't even budge that head. Let the feet go. It's a system, especially with the eyes. Yes.
one question. Our kids have all that. They will stiffen their body, they will stiffen their toe. When you touch their head, you don't get to move them at all.
Right.
So how do you go about getting it?
Sorry, I didn't get what.
Like what you were saying right now.
Right.
So when you clench the jaw, it's difficult to move the neck.
Correct.
And they clench the toes.
Most people haven't evaluated that. You'd be surprised, like we were out to dinner doing the goblet thing. I'll pick on Jasmine. Every
Oh,
time
Lord.
she went to do it,
I will
She-
just clench my
she didn't know she was doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Most people don't realize that. So now in a controlled environment where they're successful, I can say just think of your cell phone. Boy, it's surprising you can't move your head. So these people that are saying, wow, my neck hurts a lot. Well, if you don't even put down mentally that cell phone, what it does to your system. But if you don't have a chance to compare, like even in that position, I can say, imagine your hands on the steering wheel. Well, let me tell you, if you're like this, you don't have the upper quadrant, but you don't, it's just another way of your brain saying, oh, you mean if I contract my toes, I'm not gonna see well. Oh, okay, so maybe I won't contract my toes as much. So again, we're a more organized system, so we can, can make that comparison. And our bodies are like human calculators. They'll start
Yeah.
calculating, oh, okay, looking much, if I need to look there, I need to open my toes up more. Whereas with the kids, that's where you have to get creative and start creating environments where maybe they're either by propping them or by playing that they're not as quote contracted, so they can experience better eye function. Because when the eyes improve, the system improves.